Hey, what's going on guys, it's Yoji. Details on the upcoming Scorching Ray skill have been revealed, and while it is pretty similar to Incinerate, there are a lot of differences in its interactions with other game mechanics. So in this video, I will look at how to scale the damage of Scorching Ray, what stats it needs and can use, and which Ascendancy classes and what types of builds I can see it being used in. Keep in mind, this is all pre-release of this skill, so I have no way to test this right now, and I will be going by wording and based off of how similar mechanics work in the game right now. So, Scorching Ray is a channeled spell that burns enemies, dealing fire damage over time and reducing enemy fire resistance by more and more the longer they are affected by the skill. The announcement tells us that unlike Righteous Fire, this burn scales with spell damage. Other stats to look for will be fire damage, elemental damage, damage over time, and burning damage. This means we are looking at a pretty typical elemental spellcaster build framework. However, it is a damage over time skill, which means it does not hit. This has a lot of implications that might not be obvious when just looking at the skill. So let's look at the most important ones of these implications. Scorching Ray cannot crit, so Controlled Destruction and Elemental Overload will be great choices. Scorching Ray cannot leech, so another way of recovery is needed. Its damage will not be reflected. Scorching Ray will not penetrate elemental resistances, but reducing elemental resistances via curses will still work. Scorching Ray does not proc elemental equilibrium, which is good because it means you can proc EE with, for example, Orb of Storms or an Arc Totem. Scorching Ray's damage cannot be converted. Scorching Ray cannot apply elemental status ailments such as Ignite, and added damage to spells, for example from Anger, Heralds or Weapons, will not apply to it. With all of this kept in mind, curses should be the best way to scale Scorching Ray's damage. Elemental weakness, flammability and vulnerability will all work with it. I also want to clarify that while this skill burns, it's not an Ignite. There's always a lot of confusion about this. But while every Ignite deals burning damage, not every burn is an Ignite. So enemy status ailment immunity will not affect Scorching Ray negatively at all. For support gems, Elemental Focus and Controlled Destructions are no-brainers, for a fire spell that cannot crit or ignite anyway. Since it is a channeled skill, Spell Echo will not support it. However, cast speed will not only affect the damage it deals and the stacking of the fire resistance debuff, it will also affect the turning rate at which you can move the beam around. So cast speed will play a major role for clear speed and be the most important feel-good stat for any Scorching Ray build. Supporting it with faster casting sounds like a great idea for me. For support gems 5 and 6, we'll most likely have to see how exactly duration affects the debuff stacking and damage. But I can see Rapid Decay, less duration and Empower be great choices. But I'll also definitely keep in mind Iron Will for builds that stack a lot of strength and increased burning damage. But since they are not more multipliers, we will have to see how they compare to the others. Scorching Ray is not an AoE nor a projectile skill, so forget about all supports, items and passes affecting those. For Ascendancies, most people will probably think about Chieftain first, but the main problem here is that Hinokora, Death's Fury, would not work with it very well, since Penetration and Leech both do not apply, so you will be stuck with either taking 2 small nodes or use a totem node. With a cast speed penalty on spell totem support, you likely need a ton of cast speed to make the aiming of those totems fast enough to feel good and clear properly. And when you are starting as a marauder, cast speed is not so easy to get. If you want to go with totems, Hierophant might be a fun option as well. Surprisingly, Elementalist does not offer much at all for Scorching Ray, as it does not inflict any status ailments, has no reflect issues, and does not benefit from penetration or AoE. One of the best choices I think would be Occultist. Malediction allows applying an extra curse, and with the lack of damage scaling via auras, being able to scale damage with Blasphemy becomes more valuable. And as Occultist works well with low life, we potentially have a lot of mana and life to be reserved still. And yes, I see low life as a great option for Scorching Ray, as it does scale with spell damage, and therefore with a more multiplier from Pain Attunement. If you run Flammability, Ally Weakness and Vulnerability on Blasphemy, on a low life Occultist, you should do a lot of damage without having to worry about Reflect. At the same time, Wicked Ward and Vaal Bastion will help a lot with the downside that you cannot leech with Scorching Ray. Another option for the same reasons would be Guardian. Low life and Pain Attunement for damage scaling, great tank stats from the Ascendancy, which is nice for a skill that requires you to stand still for as long as possible. Going for Zealot's Oath for constant ES recovery is a great option as well. Add some offensive curses and defensive auras and you will have a very sturdy laser build. And you probably guessed it. Trickster would be a great option for a low life build as well. Lots of attack and cast speed should make this a fantastic option if you are looking for more clear speed. Although I don't really see Scorching Ray being top tier in clear speed at all. The options for frenzy charges from Swift Killer, damage over time scaling, and the recovery bonus from Patient Reaper can boost ES recovery, as well as the damage avoidance and faster start of ES recovery from Shade Form and Ghost Dance can help with the no leech downside. Well, these so far are my favorite options for Scorching Ray, from just looking at the skill and thinking about the mechanics a little bit. Feel free to share your ideas in the comments below. Subscribe for more Path of Exile content. I'm Yoji, and I will see you soon.